so be careful.
The makers of Epic Pure Sunflower Oil, Purine and Pret Cooking Fat, Yum Yum Peanut Butter, Maple Margarine, and Niblets Cheese Twists present the Epic Casebook. In which Inspector Carr investigates.
Good evening. When Harold Spencer was found slumped over his desk with the back of his skull cracked open, the brutal murder made sensational newspaper copy. Yet his death was more than something for the reporters to write about or his relatives to grieve over. He was a world-famous philatelist, known to stamp collectors the world over as a man of great integrity and the possessor of a personal collection that was reputed to be worth a fortune. Why all this? Well, it was a case which I shall long remember for various reasons, particularly because of the characters involved. Let me tell you about it. I've called my story The Conjurer's Illusion. It was the murdered man's wife who reported the killing. She telephoned Bedford Row Police Station, who in turn sent an immediate signal to the murder squad at Scotland Yard. Carr speaking.
Operations here, sir. Murder's been reported.
Metropolitan area?
Yes, sir. Bedford Row Station just came through. Mrs. Sheila Spencer says that she found her husband with his head bashed in.
Bedford Row. Spencer? Not Spencer the stamp dealer.
That's right, sir. The station has sent out a couple of men.
What's the exact time?
It's 20 minutes past, sir.
All right, I'll be over. Spencer's at 18 Bedford Row occupied a building worthy of the quiet dignity of the profession. Luckily, my good friend Dr. Macpherson was already on the scene. As I emerged from the police car, it seemed difficult to realize that I was about to gaze upon a victim of a savage killing. The Queen Anne gabling, the latticed windows, the almost ecclesiastical entrance, all contributed to the atmosphere which conveyed the quiet dignity appropriate to the pursuit of stamp collecting.
Good evening, sir.
Evening, Constable.
Dr. Macpherson and a lady are in the office. It's just along the passage, sir, where the light is showing.
Thank you, Constable.
Here comes Inspector Carr. Hello, Inspector.
Hello, Mac. Mrs. Spencer?
Yes. My poor Harold.
I did suggest to Mrs. Spencer that she went home, but she insisted on staying. Thought you might want a statement.
Well, there's no need to detain you here, madam. Let me send you home in a police car. We'll take your statement later.
No. I want to make my statement now. The Congo issue, it's gone. They've killed my Harold, and they've told...
There's no doubt about the gentleman, Mac.
None at all, Inspector. He's dead, all right, I'm afraid.
Well, all right, madam. If you are ready to make your statement, may we start at the beginning? How long have you been here?
I got here just after 11. You see, I was so worried.
Well, just a moment. You got here just after 11, and then what happened? How did you let yourself in?
I have a key. I work here with my husband. We went home together, had an early dinner, and then Harold decided to come back to work on the Congo perforated...
Stamps?
Yes.
What time did he leave home?
Oh, just after 8 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
He promised he'd be home by about 9:30. I tried phoning him. Well, it was just after the 10 o'clock news. I kept phoning. I must have picked up the receiver and dialed at least a dozen times. Then I got panicky.
Yes.
I called a taxi and came over here. I let myself in with the key. I could see the light was on in Harold's office. Opened the door and... my poor Harold...
What did you do then?
I was afraid to touch him. I didn't want to believe what my eyes told me. I phoned the police right away.
You're quite right. You say that you arrived just after 11.
Yes.
You said something about the Congo issue, something about it being stolen.
It has, Inspector. It is not here.
Is that all that's been taken?
I don't know. But it was in the safe. And it's gone.
The safe was as old-fashioned as the building and the office furniture. It was one of those combination safes, worked on the rather prehistoric gear and click principle. I knew at least 24 cracksmen with sandpapered fingertips who could crack it in less time than you could say Congo.
You see, Inspector, they've all gone, all of them.
But if your husband was working on them, they wouldn't be in the safe.
I don't know. Do you know, this Congo perforated issue was worth over £100,000. That is the entire Archer issue.
Archer?
Inspector, I see you know nothing about philately.
No, I'm afraid not.
Let me explain. Congo was one of the first countries to be given a perforated issue. An Irishman named Henry Archer invented a machine. They experimented with this new Archer perforation, which means easy tearing. But something went wrong, and the entire issue was withdrawn. It's one of the greatest collections, if not the greatest in the world. My husband was preparing it for dispatch. It had been sold to Gregor Papadoulos.
Was the collection insured?
Oh, yes, of course. Don't you understand? This is the first and only Lumumba issue.
It was obvious that the bereaved woman was stunned by a double loss. Whether the loss of her husband was more overwhelming than the loss of the Congo issue, we were yet to find out. But there could be no mistaking her distress. Mrs. Spencer, there's nothing you can do here tonight. Why don't you let me send you home in a police car? Perhaps you'll allow me to call on you tomorrow.
Oh, you must find that issue. My poor Harold.
We'll do our best, Mrs. Spencer.
You've got to find who did it. I suppose I've talked more about the Congo issue than the murder of my husband. We've been married for 20 years, and I loved him with all my heart. I'll leave now, Inspector. Good night.
With the departure of Mrs. Spencer, we began our search for clues. Not that I had much hope in that direction. Those who plot the theft of a £100,000 stamp collection are hardly likely to leave clues around, particularly when they're prepared to murder. By the time Dr. Macpherson had finished his examination, we were ready to leave.
Usual blunt instrument.
Yes.
Possibly a hammer.
I see, Nick.
Struck down at approximately 9:30. Do you mind if I arrange for the removal of the body?
Well, a bit. We're just about through.
Did you get anything?
Yes. Yes, as a matter of fact, we have.
Oh?
Come over here. Quite incredible, isn't it? Everything securely barred and bolted in the front. And look at this window, leading out into the alley.
Aye, that's right.
All that was needed was a thin nail file, and up goes the window catch. The killer closes it and walks out of the front door as large as life. Disguised, I'll bet. There's something else, Mac. Whoever climbed through that window was wearing a woolen coat. A fine thread of wool, this. You never know. And that's something we din into every would-be detective. Never ignore the slightest possibility. You never know. Back at Scotland Yard. All right, Jackson. The lab should be able to tell us the kind of wool this is, the sort of mill it came from, and if the fates are kind, the name of the manufacturer who made the coat. The fact that there might be 100,000 similar overcoats is something we won't think about right now. I get busy.
What is it?
Yes, Inspector?
I'll get through to Criminal Records Office, see if there's anything under the name of Harold or Sheila Spencer.
Right, sir.
And get X-Branch to let it be known that the whole metropolitan area has been alerted.
Right, sir.
Be in the interests of the underworld to tip us off if they hear anything. They don't like impetuous characters who add murder to their snatchings, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. I don't suppose I'll be wanted again tonight, but if I am, I've gone home to get a bit of shut-eye. Yes.
A call has just come through from Bradford, sir.
The woolen thread?
Yes, sir. The labs worked on it last night. It's the most expensive kind of wool there is. Bradford Wool Industries, sir. Never used in mass production, only sold in lengths.
Oh, that's a help.
Now, more than that, sir. Labs say that this came off a skein that was only milled 2 months ago. The entire output was only 6 dozen lengths. Went to Levy and Anderson, Savile Row.
Come on, what are we waiting for?
Yes, that is quite true. We have an exclusive contract with Bradford Wool Industries. It's a very expensive material.
Well, I want the names and addresses of every one of your customers who's had an overcoat made up of this material in the last 2 months.
But, sir, these things are rather...
Come on, Mr. Fuller. We've no time to waste. I left Jackson to collate the information and had a talk with the head of X branch.
Oh, no. We have our list of those who might be concerned in receiving sparklers, paintings, antiques. But do you know, I doubt very much if the underworld has such a thing as an organized fence, specifically for storing stamps.
Well, why not? Oh, I know they're hot. But if the boys are willing to risk stealing a Michelangelo or a Picasso, if there are rich enthusiasts willing to pay hundreds of thousands of pounds for something no one will see except themselves, which they know to be stolen, why not a megalomaniac keen on stamp collecting?
Why not, indeed? All I'm saying is that neither Interpol nor the FBI nor ourselves are aware of any stamp thieving group. Not that the Wide boys are averse to lifting a costly specimen if they get the chance. But that's something else entirely.
Oh, I think I'll have a word with this year's president of the Royal Philatelic Association.
Yes, I read about the murder and the theft. Terrible business.
It is indeed, Sir William.
Knew Spencer for 30 years. It was at their wedding 20 years ago. Great loss to Philatelist. There goes the phone. Be a good chap and answer it for me. What with this arthritis, I'm not as spry as I used to be.
Certainly, sir. Hello?
Inspector Carr there.
Speaking. Oh, is that you, Jackson?
Sorry, sir. Didn't recognize your voice. There were only 14 overcoats. We've investigated 13 of them. There's one to go.
Huh?
Ex-branch told me where you were, sir, so I thought I'd phone you right away. You see, a coat of the wool was made for Sir William Lasbury.
I see. All right, Sergeant Jackson, thank you.
For you, I suppose.
Yes, Sir William. Well, I think I'll be getting along now. That was a nice overcoat I saw in the hall stand.
Should be. Deuced expensive.
Oh?
I knew it was worth it. You don't get wool like that very often these days.
Under the pretext of admiring his purchase, I looked for the slightest tear. It was there, all right. There was no doubt that the thread of wool taken from the scene of the crime came from the overcoat belonging to the president of the Royal Philatelic Society. Sir William, a murderer. The thought was fantastic. Yet if there was one thing we members of the force are taught, it is that a suspect must be treated as such, whoever he may be.
There's something on your mind, Inspector. What is it?
How long have you had this overcoat, Sir William?
Not very long. Here's my man. He'll be able to tell you. Phillips. When did I take possession of this overcoat?
Oh, 8 weeks ago, sir.